government and the gangs are competing with one another. The governments are clearly, in general, not very popular, but a lot of people, most of the citizens in these countries are law-abiding, and they don't like the gangs either. And so I think there's some competition. I think both the gangs and the governments are trying to appeal to people, and also out of fear. Both of them use fear, repression on the part of governments, and also extortion and threats on the part of gangs. And so you have a general situation where there's just a lack of confidence, a lack of legitimacy in all institutions, whether they're government or non-government institutions. And so this is the real problem. The best way to counter spreading gang activity is to establish governments that are effective, that are legitimate, that are democratic, and that would bring a lot of support, and that would change the dynamics. But that does not exist today in the three countries of the Northern Triangle. Many of these societies are controlled by traditional elite groups. They're referred to sometimes as the oligarchs, and they have amassed enormous wealth. They concentrate wealth, and they run the main activities, economic activities in these countries. And their commitment is much less to open up these societies and give opportunities to others than it is to just perpetuate their wealth and increase their wealth. And so these are societies that have not really established broad middle classes, that have not really diversified their economies to any significant extent. And so they rely on some of the traditional economic activities that are largely controlled by a small group. And you can go from country to country and you can identify those people. And unfortunately, I think it's very short-sighted on their part, because ultimately, if they want to sustain their wealth and sustain their position, they're much better off in providing economic opportunities for all of the citizens. And some of them, I think, do, but many of them don't still. They look at it in a very short-term perspective and just interested in defending and protecting their own economic interests and their position in the society.